My name is Christine C. Williams. I'm 30 years old, and the moment my boyfriend told me to leave if I couldn't handle his girls' trip, I realized I wasn't losing him. I was finally seeing him clearly. The suitcase was open on the bed. Black. Too neat. Too deliberate. It sat there like a decision already made, swallowing pieces of him I didn't recognize. Lace, silk, shirts I'd never seen before. I stood in the doorway, watching, not interrupting, not accusing, just observing. "You're sure it's just you and Jessica?" I asked finally, keeping my voice calm. A checkpoint, not a fight. He didn't look up. "For the 10th time, yes," Daniel said, folding a shirt with unnecessary precision. "It's a girls' trip, Vegas. You know the plan." I nodded slowly. "I do," I said. "I also know Ryan and Leo from your gym are flying out tomorrow." That got a pause. Small, barely noticeable, but I saw it. "Same hotel," I added quietly. He exhaled, sharper this time, and resumed packing. "Vegas is a big city, Christine. We might run into them. We're all adults." Run into them. I almost smiled. "Running into them seems likely," I said, "considering the group chat you forgot to close on your laptop." Now he turned, slowly, his expression already shifting into something familiar, defensive, offended. "How long have you been going through my stuff?" he asked. "I didn't," I said. "It popped up. I read what was already there." I held his gaze. "Like when Leo said, 'Can't wait to see you,' and you replied with a heart." Silence stretched between us. Then he laughed, short, dismissive. "You're unbelievable," he said, shaking his head. "You hear about a guy friend and suddenly I'm cheating?" "It's not about cheating," I replied. "It's about respect." "Respect?" he scoffed. "Or control?" There it was, the shift, the flip. Suddenly I wasn't questioning behavior. I was the problem. He zipped the suitcase shut, hard, final. "This is exactly what I mean," he continued, turning toward me. "You suffocate everything. You hear something small and turn it into something toxic." I crossed my arms slowly. "I asked a question." "And I answered it," he snapped. "But you don't trust me." "It's not about trust," I said again, softer this time. "It's about how this looks, how it feels." "Feels?" He laughed again, louder now. "Since when are you my emotional manager?" That one landed, not because it hurt, because it told me everything. He stepped past me, rolling the suitcase behind him. "I need space," he said. "I need to breathe. I need to live my life without constantly being questioned." I followed him into the living room, watched him check his reflection, fix his hair, already somewhere else. "And if I can't?" I asked quietly. He paused, just long enough to turn, and then he said it. Cold, clean, simple. "If you're going to be jealous every time I go out, just leave." The words didn't hit the way he expected. They didn't explode, didn't break me. They just settled, like something clicking into place. He mistook my silence for defeat. I saw it in the way his shoulders relaxed, the way his tone softened. "We'll both feel better after this," he added. "You'll think things through." Think things through. I nodded once. "Okay," I said, my voice flat, steady, unfamiliar even to me. "Enjoy your trip." That's when he hesitated, just for a second, because something in my voice didn't match the script he expected. No pleading, no arguing, no emotion, just acceptance. He smiled anyway, forced, confident. "I will," he said. Then he left. The door closed behind him, soft, final. I stood there in the silence, listening, feeling, waiting for something. Anger, pain, anything. Nothing came. Instead, there was clarity, cold, sharp, unmistakable. Because for the first time in 3 years, he didn't threaten to leave. He told me to. And for the first time, I listened. The silence after he left wasn't empty. It was full. Full of everything that had been there all along but buried under excuses, late-night conversations, and the illusion of, we'll figure it out. I stood in the living room for a while, staring at the door like it might open again, like he might come back and say something different. He didn't. I walked to the window, watched him load his suitcase into the rideshare. He didn't look back. Not once. And that small detail, that was the final confirmation. A memory surfaced without warning. 2 years ago, our first anniversary. We were broke back then, 2 people barely holding things together with entry-level jobs and shared hope. There was a guitar in a pawn shop window, old, worn, but beautiful. He used to stop every time we passed it, run his fingers along the glass like he was greeting something he'd lost. So I saved, quietly, extra shifts, skipped lunches, sold my own jewelry, just to get it. And when I gave it to him, he cried, actually cried. "You're the only one who sees me," he whispered into my neck. I remember holding him, thinking, this is what love looks like. Now that same guitar sat in the corner of the bedroom, untouched, like a prop from a life that didn't exist anymore. I turned away from the window, walked back into the apartment, and for the first time, it didn't feel like home. It felt like a set, a stage where something had ended. I reached for my phone, opened Instagram. His story was right there at the top. Of course it was. I didn't hesitate. I tapped it. First clip, airport bar, him, Jessica, Lauren, drinks raised, laughing. Vegas, no bad vibes. I almost smiled, because now I knew exactly what that meant. Next clip, the camera panned, and there they were, Ryan, Leo. Not across the room, not coincidentally nearby. Right there, part of the group. Leo leaning in too close, Ryan laughing like he belonged. And Daniel. Daniel was smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months. Relaxed, free, like I had been the weight. I didn't feel jealous. That surprised me. I expected anger, pain, something. But what I felt instead was recognition. Like seeing a forecast you already knew was coming. I closed the app, set my phone down. And that's when it happened. Not a breakdown, not a realization, a decision. His words came back to me. If you're going to be jealous, just leave. I nodded slightly, to no one, because for the first time, they made sense. I walked into the bedroom, opened the closet, and pulled out a box. Then another, then another. This wasn't frantic, it wasn't emotional, it was methodical. I packed my clothes first, folded carefully, neatly, left the hangers behind. I took my books, the ones with my notes in the margins, the ones I read before I met him, before I became part of something else. I moved to the dresser, jewelry, photos, the small bronze sculpture my grandfather made. Each item felt like reclaiming something, not from him, from who I had become. In the living room, I unplugged the TV, coiled the cables, took the router, the modem, every small piece that made life work. Let him figure it out. The kitchen came next. My knives, my coffee maker, the things I used every day while he slept in, while he scrolled through his phone, while he told me I was too much. Hours passed. The light shifted across the floor. I didn't stop, didn't eat, didn't check my phone again. With every box packed, I felt lighter. Not emotionally, physically. Like removing weight I didn't know I was carrying. The last thing I packed was the guitar. I stood there for a moment, looking at it, remembering. Then I picked it up, carefully, and placed it in its case, because that was mine too. The apartment looked different now, empty, echoing, stripped down to something honest. I walked to the kitchen, placed the spare key on the counter, then grabbed a sheet of paper and wrote 2 words. Took your advice. I set it beside the key. Simple, clear, final. I called a moving service. Within an hour, everything was gone. Boxes loaded, doors closed, life removed. That night, I sat on my brother's couch, a beer in my hand, silence around me. But this silence felt different. I picked up my phone one last time, opened his story again. Another clip, loud music, flashing lights, him between them, laughing, living his best life. I took a screenshot, then blocked him. Instagram, phone, everything. No anger, no message, no explanation. Just gone. Because he told me to leave. And for once, I didn't hesitate. The next 3 days felt unreal. Not in a chaotic way, in a quiet, almost peaceful way that I hadn't experienced in a long time. I slept better, deep, uninterrupted sleep, the kind you don't realize you've been missing until it comes back. I didn't wake up checking my phone. I didn't feel that constant background tension, like something was about to go wrong. It was just quiet. I didn't check his social media again, didn't need to. I already knew what I would see. And more importantly, it didn't matter anymore. I went for runs in the mornings, long ones, the kind where your lungs burn and your thoughts finally stop chasing each other. My brother didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. He just handed me coffee, made space on the couch, and let me exist without trying to fix anything. That alone felt new. By Sunday evening, I knew he'd be coming home. I didn't think about it much, just a passing thought, like knowing a storm is hitting somewhere else. At 8:17 p.m., my phone started buzzing. Once, twice, then again. Short vibrations at first, then longer, more urgent. I didn't move. My brother glanced over from the TV. You gonna get that? No, I said. The buzzing stopped, then started again. A call this time. Unknown number. I picked it up. Not because I wanted to talk, because I wanted to hear it. I put it on speaker and set it on the table. Christine? His voice came through immediately, sharp, confused, already edged with frustration. Where are you? I said nothing. Hello? Are you there? A pause, then a thud. The power's out, he muttered. Why is the power out? Another pause. And the internet's gone? I could hear movement now, drawers opening, cabinets, footsteps. Christine, this isn't funny, he snapped. Where is everything? My TV? The call cut off. My brother raised an eyebrow. Well, he said slowly, that escalated fast. I didn't respond, because it hadn't escalated. It had resolved. 5 minutes later, another message came through. Unknown number. It's me. What the hell is going on? I deleted it. Another one. You can't just disappear like this. We need to talk. Deleted. Then came the shift. The tone softened. I'm worried about you. This is extreme. I almost laughed, because concern was always the next step, right after anger stopped working. I didn't reply, didn't acknowledge anything, because every message he sent wasn't about me. It was about losing control. By morning, the messages had multiplied. Missed calls, voicemails, texts from numbers I didn't recognize. All variations of the same thing: confusion, frustration. Then something new: desperation. One message stood out. I'm sitting here in the dark. I didn't realize how much of this place was you. I stared at it for a second, then deleted it. Another. I made a mistake. The trip wasn't like you think. I didn't respond, because it didn't matter what the trip was. It mattered what it revealed. Then came the apology, or something close to it. I'm sorry I said to leave. I didn't mean it like that. I read that one twice, then put my phone down, because that was the moment he realized something important. I had listened. By afternoon, the messages turned emotional, messier, less controlled. I can't sleep. I can't eat. Please, just talk to me. The same script, different lines. Then came the call from his sister. Different number, same energy. Christine, what is wrong with you? She said the second I picked up. He's a mess. You don't just abandon someone like that. I leaned back on the couch. Interesting. Did he tell you what he said before he left? I asked calmly. She hesitated. That's not the point. No, I said. That's exactly the point. Silence. Then, you're overreacting, she added quickly. I smiled faintly and hung up. Because that was always the pattern. Minimize, redirect, blame. By evening, something changed again. The messages stopped trying to pull me back and started trying to hurt me. You think you're better than me? You're not that special. I was settling anyway. There it was, the truth. Not hidden, not softened, just exposed. I took a screenshot, not because I needed proof, because I wanted to remember. This version, the real one. I set my phone down, closed my eyes, and exhaled slowly. Because now, there was nothing left to figure out. Later that night, I opened a dating app. Not because I was ready for something serious, because I wanted to see what normal felt like. Conversations without history, without tension, without expectation. Within an hour, I matched with someone. Ethan. Graphic designer, dry sense of humor, easy conversation. We talked. Light. Simple. No pressure. No subtext. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something unfamiliar. Not excitement, not attachment, just ease. At 8 p.m. we met. Small bar, outdoor patio, soft lights, nothing dramatic. My phone buzzed once, then again. Unknown number. I flipped it over, ignored it. Ethan smiled. Everything okay? I nodded. Yeah, I said. Just noise. And that's exactly what it was. Noise. From a life I had already left behind. The date with Ethan didn't feel like a rebound. That surprised me the most. There was no edge to it. No comparison running in the back of my mind. No subconscious measuring of how he spoke, how he looked at me, how he reacted. It was just normal. We talked about work, about stupid movies, about how neither of us could stand cilantro. He laughed easily, listened without interrupting, didn't twist my words or look for something to win. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't on guard. At some point, my phone buzzed again, then again, a dull vibration against the table. Ethan glanced at it briefly, then back at me, not asking, just noticing. I picked it up, looked at the screen. Unknown number, again. I pressed the side button, silenced it, turned the phone face down, and smiled. Sorry, I said. Where were we? He grinned. You were about to defend why terrible sci-fi is actually good. I laughed, and just like that, I was back in the moment. The phone buzzed one more time. Weak, desperate. I didn't look. After dinner, we walked outside. The night air felt lighter than it should have, like something had shifted permanently. When he leaned in to kiss me, it wasn't intense or dramatic. It was simple, natural, and that made it feel more real than anything I'd experienced in months. When I got back to my brother's place, I finally checked my phone. Not because I was curious, because I was done avoiding it. The screen lit up with a flood of messages, dozens, from different numbers, same voice, different tones. 10:03 p.m. I saw you were online. You're ignoring me now? 10:15 p.m. I haven't eaten. I can't sleep. 10:47 p.m. I had to pay to get the power back on. Seriously? That was petty. 11:22 p.m. You're already dating? Are you serious? We're still together. I scrolled slowly, not reacting, not feeling anything, just observing. Then came the voice message. I pressed play. His voice sounded different, not controlled, not confident, messy, cracked. Christine, it's me. I'm just sitting here and it's quiet. I didn't realize how much you were everywhere. The trip, it was nothing, I swear. Leo tried something and I shut it down. I told him I had a girlfriend. I told him I had you. I messed up. I took you for granted. Please, just call me. I let the message finish, then deleted it. Because it didn't matter if it was true or not. The outcome was the same. The next morning, the strategy changed again. A new number, his sister. Christine, he's not okay, she said immediately. Whatever point you're trying to make, you've made it. Now be a decent person and talk to him. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Did he tell you what he said to me before he left? I asked. Silence. Then, that's not the point. I smiled faintly. It is. And I hung up. Minutes later, another message. This time, not emotional, not pleading, angry, sharp, ugly. You think you're better than me? You think I wanted to settle for this? Leo has a condo. Ryan drives a BMW. What do you have? A couch and a storage unit? I read it once, then again, and there it was, the truth. Not hidden, not filtered, just raw. I took a screenshot, because that version of him, that was the real one. The messages stopped after that. Not immediately, but gradually, like someone realizing the performance wasn't working anymore. That evening, I was sitting with my brother making a grocery list when my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't unknown. It was my mom. I answered. Hey, she said softly. I just got a call from someone named Daniel. Of course he did. What did he say? I asked. That you disappeared. That you took things. That you're not okay. I closed my eyes for a second, then spoke clearly. He told me to leave if I had a problem, I said. So I left. Silence. Then, well, she said gently, that sounds like the end of it. It was. Later that night, my phone buzzed again, one last time. Unknown number. I answered. Christine. His voice, but different. Smaller. Tired. I got your note, he said. Took your advice. A weak laugh. That's all it took? Yes, I said. Silence stretched, then, I'm losing the apartment, he said quietly. I can't afford it alone. I didn't respond. Aren't you going to say anything? He asked. There it was, the expectation, the need for me to feel something, to fix something. No, I said. One word, clean, final. He exhaled sharply. Who are you? He whispered. I didn't hesitate. The person who listened. I ended the call, and this time, I didn't feel anything at all. After that call, nothing. No follow-up messages, no late-night voicemails, no angry texts trying to claw back control. Just silence. Real silence. The kind that doesn't feel like waiting anymore. The kind that feels like something has finally ended. I woke up the next morning before my alarm. No anxiety, no urge to check my phone, no heaviness sitting on my chest, just quiet. I made coffee, sat by the window, watched the light slowly fill the room, and for the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about him, not even a little. The days started to fall into place after that. Simple routines, work, runs, dinner with my brother, occasional messages from Ethan. Nothing intense, nothing complicated, just steady. And I realized something I hadn't fully understood before. Peace doesn't arrive all at once. It builds, quietly, in the absence of chaos. A week later, I signed the lease on my new apartment. Small, bright, a view of the park, nothing dramatic. But it was mine. Every inch of it. Every choice. No shared history, no compromise, no memory of someone else's expectations. Moving day felt different than the last one. There was no tension, no arguments, no silent resentment buried under logistics. Just boxes, music, open windows, and the feeling of starting over, not because I had to, but because I chose to. I didn't think about him much, not in the way I used to. Sometimes a memory would surface, a laugh, a moment, the way things were before they weren't. But it didn't pull me back, it just passed through. Ethan came over a few days later. We sat on the floor eating takeout because I hadn't unpacked everything yet. He looked around, smiling slightly. Feels like a fresh start, he said. I nodded. It is. He didn't ask about Daniel, didn't push, didn't try to understand something that didn't need explaining anymore. And that mattered more than anything. A few days later, I got one final message. Not from him, from his sister. A new number, of course. He moved out, gave up the apartment. He's staying with a friend now. I don't know what happened between you two, but he's not the same. I read it once, then locked my phone, because I already knew what happened. He lost control. That's what changed. Not love, not connection, control. The next Sunday, Ethan and I went to brunch. Same place as before, same patio, same soft light filtering through the trees. It felt easy, comfortable, real. Halfway through his story about a disastrous client meeting, I felt it. A shift. A presence. The kind you don't need to see to recognize. I looked up, and there he was, Daniel. He looked different. Not broken, not destroyed, just diminished. Like something had been taken out of him that he didn't know how to replace. His eyes locked onto mine immediately, sharp, focused, desperate. Christine. He said my name like it was something he could still claim. Ethan went quiet beside me, watching, waiting. Daniel, I said, nodding once. Neutral, measured, like I was acknowledging someone I used to know. We need to talk, he said. Not asked, said. Old habits. We've already said everything, I replied calmly, taking a sip of my coffee. He stepped closer. "You left me with nothing," he said, his voice tightening. "You disappeared. You took everything. Do you understand what that did to me?" Ethan shifted slightly. I placed a hand on his arm, a quiet reassurance, then looked back at Daniel. "You told me to leave," I said. Simple, clear. "That's not what I meant," he snapped. "You were supposed to fight for me. You were supposed to stay." There it was, the truth, not hidden, not softened, exactly as it had always been. "You wanted me to beg," I said quietly. He didn't respond, didn't deny it. "I don't do that," I added. His expression cracked, just slightly, enough to show what was underneath. Frustration, confusion, something close to fear. "You're different," he said finally. "I don't recognize you." I tilted my head. Good. Silence settled between us, heavy, final. "I loved you," he said. I nodded. "I know." And that was it. No argument, no breakdown, no dramatic ending. Just the truth, standing there between us. He looked at Ethan then, really looked, taking in the calm, the ease, the absence of tension. And for the first time, he understood. He stepped back slowly, like he had finally run out of moves, run out of words, run out of control. "Goodbye, Christine," he said, and this time, it sounded real. "Goodbye, Daniel." He turned and walked away. No hesitation, no looking back. I didn't watch him go. I didn't need to. Ethan exhaled softly. "That was intense." I smiled slightly. "It's over." He nodded, and we went back to our conversation, like nothing had happened, because nothing important had, not anymore. As we left the restaurant, sunlight warming the pavement beneath us, I caught my reflection in the glass, just for a second. Clear, steady, unburdened. I didn't lose him. I outgrew him. And for the first time in my life, that felt like winning. For a while, I thought that was the end of it. No more messages, no more confrontations, no more ghosts from a life I had already walked away from. And for the most part, it was. Life didn't suddenly become perfect. That's not how it works. But it became mine, completely. The apartment started to feel like a home instead of a transition. Boxes disappeared, walls filled. The guitar leaned in the corner again, not as a memory, but as something reclaimed, something that belonged to me now. Ethan didn't rush anything. He showed up, consistently, quietly. No grand gestures, no emotional speeches, just presence. And I realized how rare that actually was. We fell into a rhythm, coffee in the mornings, late-night conversations that didn't feel like negotiations, silence that didn't need to be filled, and slowly, without effort, it became something real. One night we were sitting on the floor, leaning against the couch, music playing softly in the background. He looked over at me. "Do you ever think about him?" he asked. Not accusing, not insecure, just curious.